So let's put it all out on the table. That's what I'm going to do right now. A tour of the mind, the insecurities and illusions in the mind of Danny Frank, or Daniel Einfrank. I still can't figure out what I'm going to call myself in this YouTube channel. That's a pretty weird thing to come to grips with. Most people don't ever have an alter ego, so they don't have to grapple with what that really means. Me, yeah, I do. So that has its thing. I'm not sure that that's really a factor that is much discussed in the process of when you look online. I guess I could look that up on YouTube about alter egos and how to manage them. I once had a guide, actually my therapist, who told me that what did he tell me? I think I forgot what he told me. Whatever it was, it didn't really push me exactly on the path that would have resulted in this video coming out any sooner. I've owned all of this equipment and purchased extraordinary amounts of equipment in hopes that that would move me closer towards my vision of interacting with you, a YouTube audience, a global interest faction that can kind of form a movement that can ebb and flow with my work. It would be really nice to have people that gave a shit about what I'm doing, because without it, I end up in this endless loop around what is good and what is not, and rather than just putting it to the audience and saying, what do you guys think about it? That, I think, is what needs to happen. What else? What else is on my mind? So I'm just going to put this out unedited because it's not going to get seen by anybody, and I don't really care about that. What this is a declaration of my current state so that I can kind of just sum it up, put it out there, and I can move forward based on that. The weirdest thing for me is that I'm self-critical, and I don't think I should sum up what I'm about to say before I say it. And that directly relates to what has kept me away from being more open with my work. When I think about myself as a public figure, a public servant, my mind immediately there's a protective mechanism in place, and it protects me from actually doing this because of the risk involved to my ego. And that protection mechanism is a delusion of self that tells me that I'm better than this and that I don't need anything else to move forward. I guess I'm getting two things a little bit confused. Recently, I had the realization that I don't need anything more than what I already have to move forward, and that relates to my gear procurement syndrome, which has conveniently had me stuck in the assumption that if I wasn't creating content, then it was because I needed something else. And that's very rarely true. The actual reason I wasn't creating content was that I was scared as shit. And the reason I was scared mostly is because I think that subconsciously I was unprepared for the reality of what I am as an artist and as a public persona, for that reality that I've built up in my mind to be revealed as untrue or lacking in some way, which is almost exactly what happened when I hopped on to in my studio that I'm in now. When I started recording for the first time in this studio with this current setup, it's by no means the first time I've ever recorded myself. What happened was I wanted to do wanted to launch this channel where I critique the news and the bias in the media. And that's still something that I want to do, and I'm going to do. Talking about what I'm going to do is that doesn't ever really end well, does it? When I went to do it, I realized that I think that I understood the true nature of the forces that I'm up against, not only within my own mind, but also within the world at large, the media companies and the mainstream propaganda apparatus. It's easy to say in private that there's some wonky shit going on with the media and its tendencies to support the corporate oligarchy. But it's much different to go into detail and critique the bias that exists within specific stories when you know that half the United States is going to latch onto what you're saying and perceive it a certain way or another way, even though you're just trying to narrow down on what actually is going on, what the facts are. And the fear of having people attack is I don't even know why I care about that, because I'm not even on social media at all. I've been off of everything for almost 2 years. Snapchat a little less. I kind of had a tale of where I was participating in Snapchat regularly, and but I haven't really posted on any mainstream media platform. Well, that's funny, a Freudian slip. But I did get onto Diaspora and post something about the article that I was sent by Glenn Greenwald on his Substack, critiquing the mainstream media's responses to the Capitol riots and their fear-mongering tendencies in general, and calling attention to how dangerous that is for us. So maybe that's something that I should get comfortable with, just having moments of silence where I can think about what I'm going to say next, because that's part of the process, I think, of becoming having the fluidity of speech that I see and admire in other YouTubers. As I mentioned before, I don't really intend I don't really care if anybody sees this video. It doesn't really it's not it's prior art essentially. I know that people will eventually see my content and want to know what I think about things. And whether or not they care to look back and see that at one point I was a fumbling idiot like every other socially stunted uh, keyboard ninja. I don't I mean, do you have to be on social media to be a keyboard ninja? I kind of just I'm just really reclusive. I hang out half of the time I'm with my daughter, and then the other half of the time I'm on my own, masterminding, writing music, producing music that nobody hears, and um so uh, ever since I exited pharmacy school in 2016, that's been my daily grind. So for 4 years, I've been missing out on that day-to-day water cooler exchange that most of you guys get a chance to get have the unique privilege of participating in on a daily basis. Now, I don't value that, and I don't think that you can tell I'm being facetious about it as a privilege. But you can't deny that having that daily experience brings to you a fluidity of information, expression, and um, social wit. And that's something it shocked me when I when I was pausing and stuttering to discuss this Glenn Greenwald Substack article. I was kind of mind blown. I think so to really drill down into my self-criticism of that incident, which happened last night. I don't want to do myself a disservice by saying that by leaving out factors that led to that realization. First of all, I had been watching a lot of videos that were talking head videos by people discussing dating and that the particular the foibles of that paradigm in our current system and in our current society. And these talking head videos, it's not what I wanted to do, but and what I did want to do was I wanted to project a legitimate media outlet type of vibe. And so I put on a nice shirt, and initially it was a button down with this sky blue color, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, that's extremely bland. So I morphed it and switched it to a button-down shirt that was more of a club goers type of suave, hip, like a buckle button-down shirt. And when I looked at myself, I thought, yeah, that's like more my style, and it felt more comfortable to me. But then when I saw myself in front of the camera, it was all black, and since it was nighttime, my background was black. I didn't have that lit, and it just looked weird. Like the colors weren't right, and then so that that's always a factor. I wasn't like, for the first half of it, I was naked down below, so that was weird. Like, I don't know why I thought I could just perform in front of a camera when I'm half naked. In my mind, obviously that's a factor, right? Your subconscious realizes that your pee-pee is airborne. And so I ended up putting on these pants that were these neon green sports shorts that I like to wear. And even that had a subconscious impact on me, because I knew that I knew that down there, I just knew that I wasn't in the full outfit. It matters. So the whole point is, there were factors there that weren't kind of in place, and it was really weird to do a social video, like anything uplifting where you can't see what's behind the person, and it's not lit back there. It has there's a mental disconnect, and I was absorbing that disconnect, and I didn't really see what it was until I watched the video back. But the point is that I wanted to... What is the point? I don't really know. I'm perfecting something or practicing something, and I want to just do it, and I have to just do it, because that's how the people that I admire in this space got to where they are. It's not a thing that you can just jump on the mic and be able to fluidly express yourself in an interesting way without spending some time learning that skill within yourself, and spending some time overnight in your dream space, absorbing the lessons that you learned, kind of like I did last night. And wow, my dreams were so different from what I usually dream. It was much less stressful. Usually I have dreams that have me on the edge, and I wake up feeling tired. But this morning I woke up and I felt totally ready to conquer my day 5 minutes before my alarm clock. And when that happens, it tells me that I'm on the right path. So that's why I'm here talking to you right now. And I'm going to end this video because I don't want to belabor the point that this is a trial video that I'm just doing to do, because it's got to be done. And that's that.